So we've been saying for a while that here's this vortex where the larger part of you is and everything you want is. And law of attraction has already assembled all of the cooperative components. All of the cooperative components. The question that this workshop wants to ask and answer with you is, are you one of those cooperative components? And the answer is, if you feel frisky, yes. If you're feeling joyful, yes. If you feel pensive, no. If you're dreading or fearing or worrying, no. If you're angry, no, you're not a cooperative component. So think about what it feels like when an inspired thought occurs. You know what that is? That's you close enough to the vortex that the vortex takes you in and you get an emotional glimpse of the solution that you've been seeking. And that's really what we want to help you come to the place of understanding and then immediately beginning to achieve all day, every day. Because friends, there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. If this time-space reality has the wherewithal to have inspired the desire within you, it has the wherewithal to deliver the goods. We just want you to be more excited about finding the feeling of the vortex than you are about the goods of the manifestation. If we can convince you that it's all about the way it makes you feel, then the manifestations will begin to roll in. But then you will really have it. Get into the vortex and then. Get into the vortex and then talk to your kids. Get into the vortex and then have discussions with your employer or employees. Get into the vortex and then talk to your lover. Get into the vortex and then. Because there's a tendency, and we're going to tell you one short story and then we're going to open it for whatever you want to talk about. There's a tendency. Jerry and Esther had a magnificent breakfast this morning. We'll start there. But prior to this morning, the last several breakfasts in the last several hotels have been not good. Jerry can't get them to create his eggs the way he likes them. They come rubbery and inedible. And so a few hotels ago, they were sitting in front of oatmeal that was so runny, it was awful. And eggs that were so well cooked, they would have been better used as a rubber ball to bounce around. And Jerry and Esther were looking at each other, feeling abject failure. We're better than this, they said to each other. And then they spent about the 20 minutes that it took them to sort of eat around this mess of a breakfast plotting a better breakfast. And we say, you can't get to a new and improved breakfast when you're planning for it in the middle of one you're disappointed in. You just can't buck that current. And then we began teasing. We have these wonderful affirmation cards. Money and the law of attraction, health and the law of attraction. These are masterfully written. We wrote them. Beautifully illustrated. And it's infinite intelligence approaching the subject of financial well-being. So from outside the vortex, let's say you're struggling, have been for a while, you're irritated about it, maybe even frightened, and so you think, well, infinite intelligence wrote these, must be some value for me. I think I will buy these cards and I will affirm my financial well-being. So standing in your place of fear or aggravation or concern, you begin to read, I do not need to have money to attract money. Well, that's a good thing. It comes not by magic, but by universal law. Right. Oh, here's a good one. I can have money and freedom too. Who writes this stuff? My attention to it invites the essence of it. I have control over the thoughts I think. Sure I do. So what we are demonstrating with our infinite sarcasm is that from outside the vortex, from that place of disappointment, that's not the time to affirm an improved life. You see what we're getting at? Because doesn't it just make you angry at whoever wrote these stupid cards? From inside the vortex, and that's really the point that we want to make. That vortex is going to take you in every day at one point or another. You're going to have a moment where your heart is lifted just a bit. It might be driving down the road and seeing a dog hanging its head out the window for just a moment. Just gave you a moment of that feeling of freedom. Someone you might adore might call you. You might look into the face of someone. You might hear a song on the radio that loosens your resistance for just a moment. Every single day, you make your way into the vortex just accidentally. You just sort of stumble in because the vortex is the dominant part of you. In other words, you feel it sometimes. And if you will keep a sort of ear to the ground and do all of your affirming once you're in the vortex. In other words, from inside the vortex, milk it. From inside the vortex, acknowledge that you feel better and then try to focus upon whatever it was that you think might have made you feel better and try to hold that vibrational mental position for just a little longer. If you will do your affirming from inside the vortex, what happens is you practice alignment. And the more you practice alignment, the more you offer the vibration that brings you more. In other words, it's just like this cycle where the better you feel, the more that feels good comes to you. And the more you focus upon that, the more that feels good comes to you. So this is the primary leading edge new place. Some of you have been with us for a while. Some of you are on some of those tape programs where you've been up to speed. This is the new place that we're taking you now. This is the new place where your life is taking you now. And this is the story that we want you to remember. You cannot attract an improved breakfast when you are trying to do it while eating one you're disappointed with. And that applies to everything. You cannot attract an improved financial position when you make all your effort and offer all your action and do all your trying from your place of defense or from your place of fear. In other words, you got to give yourself a break. You can't buck your own current. That's really what we're saying to you. If you've got that vortex going and that's what you've been doing for a while, words aren't enough to compensate. And action isn't enough to compensate either. You got to wait until you are in the vortex where the energy that creates worlds is, and that is when. That's the operative word that we're wanting you to reach for. When do I affirm? When I'm in the vortex. When do I affirm? When I'm in the vortex. We say to our friends, don't worry, if you don't know what the negative emotion is and you don't do something about it, don't worry, it will get bigger. And if you still don't deal with it, don't worry, it will get bigger until eventually it will manifest. Don't you want to deal with your resistance when it's in the emotional stage rather than it's when in the truck running over you stage or the cancer in your body stage? Now, we want to say it doesn't matter at what point you decide to release the resistance. You can do it under any and all conditions. You just have to know that it's not something that you do with discipline. It's not something that you do with willpower. We don't want you to restrain yourself. We don't want you to be in a place where the vibration is so strong that you just have to bite yourself to hold back from it. We want you to be in the place where you're not having to restrain or hold yourself back. We want you to be a cooperative component to what you do want. We want the universal power of the law of attraction to be drawing you forward into the completion or culmination of that which you are. We want you to be inspired into the vortex rather than outside the vortex trying to motivate your way in. Can you hear the difference? Can you feel the difference? Are you aware that we have answered at many levels of your being everything that is pulsing within you? Yes. What you will notice is that because we feel you in your vortex persona, and we know the relationship between where you are right now and that. We've presented to you here today in this variety of magnificent conversations with these powerful creators who have sat in the hot seat, a series of answers that will be available to you as you achieve different points along your emotional scale. In other words, as you take away from this gathering a singular intent of getting into the vortex and then. Now we know it's got to be irritating to hear that and hear that and hear that and hear that and hear that, but get in the vortex and then. In other words, as you accept that you are vibrational beings, and as you accept that this vortex holds the vibrational manifestation of everything that you have come to be, and as you let your singular intent be to find vibrational alignment with that, it is our promise to you that not only will your day tomorrow feel even better than today, and the one after that even better than that, and the one after that even better than that, that there will be a tipping point where you will come really soon into conscious awareness of your personal power. Now, you came forth into this physical body with the delicious intention of being a deliberate creator. You knew that the contrast would inspire you, and you knew that rockets of desires would shoot forth from you, and you knew that you would set into motion a vortex of creation. You knew that. And you knew that if you never heard a word from the likes of Abraham, that this would take place, and that you would emphatically, dramatically, personally add to the expansion of the universe. You knew that. And you knew before your birth into this body that as all of that takes place, that at some point there will be that reemerging back into non-physical. And you knew that you would shed all of the things that were worrisome that you'd picked up along your physical trail, and that you would then stand without the problem part of the equation, only in the solution part of the equation. And you knew that you would revel in the accomplishment of that which was this physical life experience. You knew every bit of that. And so we're not talking to you in the way that we are in answer to your powerful questions in order to remind you of those things so much, because whether you remember that or not is really unimportant, because that's just the way the universe works. You're adding to it in a powerful way whether you know that you are or not. And you're on your way to a blissful conversation and realization of that which you are. You will return to your utter knowledge of worthiness, and you will be proud of this life experience and all it has meant for you. You will, and you will make a very powerful intention to come forth again and again and again, because the satisfaction factor is so huge. But we're having this conversation with you because you should be feeling good now. You should be feeling your power now. You should be creating deliberately now, because the difference between sifting and deciding and aligning and realizing through manifestation is so rich and full and complete in comparison with just stumbling on it, you see. To be a deliberate creator, to deliberately acknowledge something missing, and then to want it even in its absence, and then to find a way of feeling it even before you can see it, until you know the reality of it even before it is a physical reality, is the most delicious creating that takes place any time, any space, any place. We feel such appreciation for your willingness to play with us in this eternal game of creation. And above all other things, it is our desire that you take away from this gathering these three things. The vortex is a reality. I have easy access to it, and I'm practicing my way into it all day, every day. And as you make those three simple observations and apply just a small amount of effort, less than it takes to learn a new computer program, you will return to the true nature of your being. And you will then be the uplifter that you were born to be. But most of all, you will be the liver of life in the way that you have meant it. You will see the world through the eyes of Source. Don't do it for them. Do it for you. Sometimes the people who are around you don't deserve your kind attention to them, but you always do. There is great love here for you. And as always, we remain blissfully in the vortex.